I swear a lot of people must think that dentists just go around like snatching pacifiers from babies.
Give me that. Another one for my collection.
And maybe it was your dentist that scared you into thinking that your child's bite might look like that picture if you didn't stop their pacifier habit like yesterday cold turkey. But I'm glad you found my channel. I'm here to help you feel much more comfortable about your child's use of their pacifier and confident when the time does come to wean. Okay, let's first talk about why children suck. That's not gonna work, is it? This might be a problematic video. Okay, as my preschooler's teacher likes to say, oops, rewind, let's try that again. Let's first talk about why children might be sucking their pacifier, their thumb, any number of things. Why do they do this? A child sucking on an object or a digit is what we refer to in pediatric dentistry as a non-nutritive sucking habit. That means that it involves sucking on something that isn't giving them nutrition. So it could be a bottle, but they're just not using it or getting nutrition. Could be a pacifier, a digit, Lovey's ear, a blanket, any number of things that children choose to suck on, and they're not getting nutrition from it, just comfort. But here's the thing about non-nutritive sucking habits. They're normal. Sucking is part of the rooting reflex. So the trouble is not so much that a non-nutritive sucking habit exists, but that in some kids, it persists beyond a certain point. What is that point? Well, it depends on the child, and for most children, that's about age 3 years. I'll go into that a little bit more in a moment. First, let's talk a little bit about what is happening in the developing jaws and teeth with a persistent sucking habit. When children are sucking, why is it gonna be so hard? Okay, when children are sucking on their thumb or their pacifier, the cheek muscles and the lip muscles, they exert forces upon the jaws that can result in shape change. This is most notable with the upper jaw because it has something called a midline suture where the two bones meet. It's actually filled with cartilage in between, not bone yet. It fuses to bone around age 9, so it's really pliable and subject to pressure and forces that can cause shape change or compression. The tongue, when a child is sucking on something, also drops down from its ideal position, smooshed against the palate. That would normally help to keep the palate wide, but the tongue falls down during sucking. So these things, coupled with lip pressure, tongue moving, cheek pressure, can result in a narrow maxilla or top jaw, which can lead to crossbite of the back teeth. You can also have tilted or bucked teeth. You can also have reclined or retruded teeth. Usually you have the top teeth bucked, the bottom teeth reclined. You can get a rainbow smile appearance or arching and the whole arch or just one spot where the digit's going. And you can also get what's called a long face growth pattern, where the child is mouth breathing, they're not breathing through their nose, and so their face gets longer, kind of darkness under their eyes. It's a whole studied facial appearance. And they can also develop, because there might be space between their teeth, a tongue thrust where their tongue moves into that space and rests there, keeping that space between the teeth open. Now, should we really be concerned about those changes? If these changes aren't corrected, it can leave a child unable to function ideally. They might struggle to chew or bite. Think about biting into pizza, the cheese all coming off in your face, and even to swallow. The tongue is normally supposed to rest back in the mouth, but a lot of kids with the tongue thrust swallow pattern, they're sticking their tongue out still forward into that space when they swallow. And like we mentioned before with the long face pattern, they may not be breathing through their nose, which is the ideal. They're breathing more through their mouth. So it can have a lifelong impact, and you do want to correct it. But here's the good news. If a child stops sucking on their thumb or their pacifier by their 3rd birthday, that leaves enough time before their permanent teeth come in for regular growth and development to by and large correct those changes to jaw or tooth positions. And there's even more good news. The degree of change to the teeth and bite position depends on 3 factors: the frequency, the intensity, and the duration of that sucking habit. What does this mean? If you limit pacifier use to when it's most beneficial, which is during sleep time, especially in their first year of life, maybe also to brief periods where that child needs help with emotional regulation, so like maybe in a car seat or on the changing table when they're getting their diaper changed, then those tooth and jaw position changes should be minor and pretty easily self-correct. Most children primarily utilize pacifiers, falling asleep, and then it falls out. It doesn't stay in there all night. They might, as they're a little bit older, reach back, put it back in, but still the duration is not very long. And using pacifiers at sleep time in that first year of life is a great thing because pacifier use is a protective factor against SIDS, even if it falls out of their mouth. So I recommend making it a goal to restrict pacifier use just to sleep times and maybe high stakes emotional times where they need some help calming down. But generally, just to sleep time. You get all of the benefit and then very short frequency, intensity, and duration. If your child is using the pacifier for more than just sleep, then I would make it a goal to try by about 10 months of age, which is when they develop object permanence, where they understand that if they don't see an object it still exists. That happens around 10 months. So you would like to wean to only sleep time around that time. So around that year mark, 10 months to a year, get them to just sleep. That's going to make your journey for full weaning a lot easier later. And for full weaning, you want them to be completely done with the passy by age 3. That is the official recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry. Now, when I share the age 3 recommendation, parents everywhere rejoice, woohoo, but a lot lot of SLPs, and some pediatricians even kind of come after me on TikTok and other places. They're saying, no, because of speech development, because of ear infection issues, they need to wean sooner, right at a year. But for us as dentists, age 3 is when those jaw and teeth position changes can self-correct if they stop by then. And I might argue with those SLPs and pediatricians that the main concern of pacifier use that is prolonged is when it's during the day. If they're restricting it just to sleep, I don't think that research pans out. It's just these kids that walk around with the pacifier in their mouth all day long. Yes, you're going to have their ear canals open. They're going to be using the pacifier more, so it's a source of infection, so potentially raising their ear infection risk. And then for SLPs, obviously if they've got it in their mouth during the day, it's going to impact their speech and that development. But if they're just using it at nighttime and it falls out when they're asleep, I'm not losing sleep over it. But that's just me and my professional opinion as a pediatric dentist. I have a little different perspective than a pediatrician might or an SLP. And obviously cater this to your child's unique needs. If your child's really struggling with speech or with ear infections, you might want to reconsider that 3-year benchmark. My primary caution though with an SLP, a dentist, a pediatrician, recommending that a child wean sooner, especially when they are using it all day and they're very attached, is to realize that if you try to cold turkey take away a pacifier from an 18-month-old that's using it all day long, often what happens, and I saw this early in my career when I did actually recommend earlier weaning myself as a provider, but you see kids substitute their thumb. If they really need that sucking comfort, you're not going to magically make that go away by getting rid of the pacifier. They still are going to seek out that feeling, that sensation. They have that need that is unmet, and they're just going to put a finger in there. Don't try to wean too early, especially on a child that's very attached. Take your time. Be careful. A pacifier is a lot easier in the long run to wean from than a thumb. Does that age 3 benchmark leave you feeling a little bit better? I hope so. It does for a lot of the parents that follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and I hope here now on YouTube as well. If you do have a child that happens to use their pacifier a little bit more throughout the day, or even if they're just using it at sleep time and you're wondering how to go about the process of weaning, I've got that for you next in the following video.